But first, I'd like to say how happy we are to be here. We've been working on this transaction with Ford and with the mayor for about a year and a half. We've done a lot of things over the years, over the past 30-something years that my company has been in business. And I can truly say that we've never been treated with such open arms and such collaboration and such help as the mayor and this team has given us. So I'm really like a round of applause for them. Very often, we find that the local governments, although always well-meaning, are impediments to a transaction, and here we work step and step the entire way. But I'd also like to thank Ford, because Ford showed a real concern for the community, and this transaction happened in record time. It may not seem fast to people on the ground, but as the mayor said, when these facilities close, they usually sit for a long period of time. The companies usually want to make sure they're perfect before they're sold, that every issue on the facility is handled. In some cases, they don't want another owner of the facility because they're afraid of liability for what they did while they were there. We worked with Ford and the mayor and his team over the last year and a half to construct a way to transfer this property quickly that Ford has never used before. And this plant will not deteriorate, it will not sit idle for the many, many years that usually happens. So I think Ford deserves a lot of credit for being open to changing the way that corporate do business and the way most people is doing. I'd also like to say how happy we are to be here. We believe in Ohio, we believe in the Cleveland area, and we believe in Lorain County. Of all the real estate that we've taken over around the country and all the jobs we've created in Ohio, we've done more real estate deals than anywhere else in the country. And for all the reputation for the state and the difficult places of business, we have an easy time selling Ohio, selling Northeast Ohio, and bringing companies in. We've brought in many manufacturing companies into this area, including recently in the last year and a half. Chris will go into detail about how many deals we've done here, but we hope to be very successful here. We hope to recreate a lot of jobs, and we hope to be a model citizen. And again, thank you. I'll turn it over to Chris to tell you some of the progress we're already making on the ground and what our expectations are for the facility. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to just take off where Stu left off. The building's 4 million square feet, approaching 250 acres. You will probably see a wrecking ball out of the site in the near future, probably sometime in January or February. We are going to end up demolishing a portion of the site. The reason we plan to do that is to make what's left over much more functional in today's market. You'll probably see a building that was 3 major facilities, 1 million square feet to the north, 1 million to the south, and then the new paint plant that most people are probably aware of, which is about 550,000 square feet. We've had great success in the last year working with companies to present the facility to, and we believe we are coming very close to securing 2 major manufacturers for the site. Now, it won't manufacture like Ford did by any stretch of the imagination, but we're not talking about a warehouse or putting China boxes, converting to U.S. boxes in the facility. We have a potential 300 employee manufacturer to the north, 1 million square feet, and a Lorain County company that's going to occupy about 200,000 square feet on the south side of the complex. Those are 2 transactions we are working very closely on with the mayor and his team and the 2 corporations, and hopefully we'll have those secured by the end of the first quarter. We've had very great success in Ohio. We bought the former Lockheed Martin plant, Whittier Aerospace Complex down in Akron, where the blimp hangar is that most people saw catch on fire last summer. We've been able to secure 4 new manufacturers at that site, adding approximately 600 jobs in that community. The complex is 2.1 million square feet, and we only have 250,000 square feet in 1 year's time. So we've got a fabulous track record in Ohio. I think Ohio is highly undersold. Most of the transactions we're seeing are manufacturing related, not distribution related. And although we'll have some distribution mixed at the site, don't get me wrong, we have to have a successful project. But we've been very, very fortunate. And I think Ohio is downplayed. I think Ohio's coming back. And you'll probably read about it a year later than it actually occurs. But you'll see significant manufacturing at the site. Thank you very much for your time.
With that, we'll turn it over to questions and answers, and we'll address the questions the media has first, and then the general audience second. So if you're with a media company, please raise your hand if you have questions.
300 potential employees coming into the north side of the facility. How many total employees might we be seeing if the first two businesses come in, and how many businesses in total might head out to that site eventually? How much do you think there's going to be?
Do you think we'll see anywhere?
Could you please
Speak up. 500, we're just securing the first two users, and we see anywhere between 6 to 8 companies locating out at the site all in once it's developed. Job potential could range as high as low as maybe 1,000 total once it's fully occupied to 2,000 people.
Well, I've got you at the mic, Mr. Smears, and I'd like to ask you, you talked about Ohio being sort of overlooked, undersold, that type of a thing. Could you address what Ohio has that maybe we don't see that makes it a good place for business people such as yourselves to make this kind of transaction happen?
I'll hit that on a local level or a state level, and then I think Stuart can add a lot of value from a national level. I think we have a fabulous location on a map. I think with transportation and fuel costs, I also think the labor base here and our infrastructure. So, and having facilities of this quality and having them at the right price point to be able to attract the types of companies to provide the low-cost services and equipment that they need to provide to their marketplaces. So, how do you feel about that? I don't know, national level.
I think you're saying it pretty well, but basically you have Ohio is close to most of the country's population, and tax-wise, it's better than many, if not most of the states in the country. It has a pretty low tax burden. It's got a great workforce that companies like. It's known as resourceful, it's known as hardworking people. And from a cost of operations, it's an advantage when these facilities close to attract a new business because it has a cost advantage in the cost of the real estate over a lot of places. You know, when these big facilities close, the cost base ends up being lowered for the next occupant because the value of the real estate. So it actually has a lower occupancy cost on the real estate also than many other places that haven't had as many plant closures.
Mr. Lichter, I'll ask you this question while you're still up there. You had said that this deal got done very quickly because it utilized a way to transfer the property that Ford had never used before. Can you go into a little bit of the details about that and how it's different than they usually do business?
Yeah. Most large companies are very, very concerned about environmental liability of facilities. So what most of them do to limit their liability is they go on an extensive protocol to clean the property before they put it into somebody else's hands. Because they don't want it in somebody else's hands for potential liability reasons and for other people coming back after them. That tends to be good for the company, or they perceive it's good for the company because it's protecting them. It's not good for the communities. Because even though they try to maintain it, their incentive is to not maintain it as well as it could be because it's not being used. There's a lot of expense in maintaining it. The facility deteriorates, and sometimes it can take 2, 3, 4, 10 years while they're doing this process. And a lot of corporate America, I'm more talking about corporate America, opposed to Ford specifically, does things that way. So a lot of these big plants don't become available when they close. So what we did with Ford is we convinced them that it was good for the community, it was good for them to reverse that and have us do the environmental cleanup for them and to trust us that we can have negotiation with them and how we assure them that the scenarios they fear would not happen. Right? And we succeeded in doing that with Ford and creating a new model for the disposition of real estate. Most likely if that model had not been created, this facility would not have even been available for a number of years to come. And the mayor, Ford, and we've worked together on that over the past year.
How much environmental cleanup is necessary?
I don't think the environmental cleanup is a huge issue on the site. Any facility that's operated this long does have some issues, but I don't think there are any really huge environmental issues on the site, but they will take a period of time to clean up. They will not interfere where they are with the reoccupation of the facility.
What are those issues?
I would rather not go into that in a whole lot of detail at this point, but we will be working with the state environmental officials and entering what's called the voluntary action program with the site, and all those issues will be handled in a responsible manner.
Did those environmental issues have anything to do with the fact that the sale price was more than $25 million less than the county appraised price for the property?
Well, not to that number, but the sales price was discounted because of the fact that we're taking over the environmental responsibilities on the site. But the environmental issues are not nearly of a magnitude that you're talking about.
What else had an effect on that separation?
I'm not sure I understand the question about the separation.
Separation between appraised price and what the actual final sale price was?
Well, frankly, when we buy these facilities around the country, they're almost always overassessed as to what they're worth in the marketplace. They're worth one thing in place when they're an operating plant, and the corporations don't focus on the assessment. But if you look at the sales prices of facilities with or without environmental issues, when they're this size, they're almost always an order of magnitude lower than the existing assessment.
Let me ask, you say we'll see a wrecking ball in January. How soon are we actually going to see people working in these buildings, and how much of the job is going to pay?
The two transactions that were in the LOI stage on, both are talking about taking occupancy in the third quarter. As to the wages of the employees, I really don't feel qualified to address that. When those deals are announced, I think you have to address that with the companies.
Those two manufacturing companies that are going to be tenants, can you tell us what markets those companies serve?
I'm not sure I heard.
The markets that the tenants. What type of industry?
I don't think that they're interested in having their names out there yet. So I think that we're going to respect their request that it not be public until the deals are announced. Anything else?